Papaji went to Arunachala, and the same thing that happened the time before happened again. Because after lunch, he tried to follow the Maharshi into the old hall, and Krishna Swami stopped him again. Bhagavan told him to let Papaji in. And this is what happened when he sat before Bhagavan, according to his words. I sat before the Maharshi and began to tell him the story of my life. For 25 years I have been doing sadhana, I told him. I have repeated the name of Lord Krishna up to 50,000 times a day. I have been reading a lot of spiritual literature. After Lord Rama, Sita, Lakshmana, and Hanuman blessed me with their darshan, I have not been able to carry on this practice. I can no longer meditate or even read books. I do feel calm deep inside. However, there is no desire to seek God anymore. My mind refuses to engage itself in the thought of God. What has happened to me? What should I do? The Maharshi looked at me and asked, "How did you come here from Chennai?" I saw no reason why he should ask me that question, but I answered politely, "By train." "What happened when you came to the station at Tiruvannamalai?" Bhagavan continued. "When I got off the train, I handed over my ticket and engaged a bullock cart to bring me to the ashram. When you reached the ashram and paid the driver of the cart, what happened to the cart?" asked the Maharshi. "I suppose it went back to town," I replied, still wondering where all these questions were leading. The Maharshi then explained what he was leading to. "The train brought you to your destination. You got off because you did not need it anymore. Likewise with the bullock cart. You got off when it brought you to the ashram. You now need neither the train nor the cart since you are here. They were the means of bringing you here. That is what has happened to your sadhana, your meditation and japa. You do not need them anymore. You yourself did not give them up. They have left you of their own accord because they have served their purpose. You have arrived." And then the Maharshi looked at me very intently. I could feel that my entire body and mind were being washed and made pure. I could feel him looking intently into my heart. I felt every atom of my body being purified by his spellbinding gaze. A transformation was taking place in the body. The old body was dying atom by atom, and a new body was being created in its place. I then understood that this man who had spoken to me was in reality what I already was and what I had always been. There was a sudden impact of recognition as I became aware of myself. And I only use the word recognition because as soon as the experience was revealed to me, I also knew that this was the same state of peace and happiness that I had been immersed in as an 8-year-old boy in Lahore, even though it may have occurred only by default. The silent waves sent out by the Maharshi re-established me in that primal state. But this time, it was permanent. The I, which had till now been looking for a God outside of itself, because it wanted to go back to that original childhood state, perished in the direct knowledge and experience of the self which the Maharshi had revealed to me. I cannot describe the precise experience, for as all books on the subject matter rightly say, no words can convey the experience. I can only talk about peripheral things. I can only say that every cell, every atom in my body leapt to attention as they all recognized and experienced the self that alleviated and supported them. I was aware that my spiritual quest had come to an end. However, the source of that knowledge will always remain indescribable. This was the real and final liberation of Papaji. The Maharshi advised him that experience to ignore the appearance of God and to inquire instead into the nature and source of the one who had this desire to see God. This desire to hold on to an external God dropped off on its own accord. Papaji has been kind enough to share with us seekers this experience. He observed, with hindsight, I could now see that the question, who am I, was the one question that I should have asked myself years before. I had had the direct experience of the self at 8 years old, and then spent the rest of my life trying to return to that state. My mother thought that my devotion to Lord Krishna would help bring back that experience, but it somehow brainwashed me into undertaking a quest for an external God whom my mother believed would give that one experience that I longed for so much. In the course of my spiritual quest, I have met hundreds of sadhus, swamis, and gurus, but none of them revealed to me the simple truth in the way the Maharshi did. Not one of them had said, God is within you. He is not separate from you. You alone are God. If you find the source of the mind by asking yourself, who am I? You will experience him in your heart as the self. If I had met the Maharshi earlier in my life, listened to his teachings, and put them into practice, I could have probably saved myself years of fruitless external searching. This applies to us all. We have to plunge right away into the quest of the self within ourselves by asking the question, who am I?